All right, I got it. Well, first of all, my friend Brian McGinnis is
Nice. Hello.
Wish he could have been here. Comedy Central has the flagship shows. They got a lot of stuff going for them, but I still think they're trying to get back from the whole Chappelle show thing. Do you find any pressure trying to kind of match it in a way?
No, not really. I mean, I'm not black or the voice of my generation. So that's I think right there it's a relief. No, I think that Comedy Central, I think, has turned over a new leaf. And if you look at Key and Peele and Workaholics, I think that there's shows out there that, and the popularity of Tosh, and like, I think that it's a new time for them, and I think having seen people go to FX and Adult Swim, I think they're much more open to letting people do the show, and I think like John Levinstein and John Daley worked and produced the show. Like, I think all of our experience has been that they were unbelievably great partners in letting us make the show that we want to make, and whether it's any voice of a generation or anything like that, I don't feel any pressure to remake the Chappelle show, because there's no way we could.
Did they come to you, or did you pitch it to them? How did this all transpire?
We had been, I had done a special for them called Thank You Very Cool, and I did a bunch of the characters on that show and stand-up, and that became somewhat of a backdoor pilot. And then John Daley and I did Rich Dicks as a 15-minute show. They were not doing 15-minute programming, but enjoyed working with us, and so then it became sort of a natural progression to continue kind of doing a show together.
How is the current election season?
What's that?
How has the current election season impacted how you handle comedy?
Well, we finished our show before the current election season began.
So it's only subconscious.
Yeah, so it's all subconscious. We have a sketch called Can I Finish, which I think very effectively takes down this sort of squawk box shouting kind of element to it. But beyond that,
yeah, we try to be current without being topical, because we know we can't be topical. The lead time is just too big.
Yeah. And I think our feeling was we all are huge fans of sketch shows. We've all watched a ton of them. And the only problem with an old sketch show is when it feels like the references are dated. And so our goal was to feel very current with the kinds of shows that we were parodying, but with almost no references to any specificity of what's going on in pop culture at a given moment. So, whereas in the election there's a lot of talk about China and being beholden to China, we have a bizarre made by the Chinese infomercial about a thing called fun loans, which is as if the Chinese made something as Americans to get us to get money from them. So it has nothing to do with directly dealing with a political issue of the moment, but it is a commentary on the Chinese-American financial situation.
The series is starting in January. How many episodes have you filmed so far?
We're done. It's 8 episodes. We locked in July. Like, we are done. So we put out the Chick Club sketch, which was a parody of Chick-fil-A we had written and produced months and months before Chick-fil-A had announced that they were going to be it's specifically anti-gay. And I don't know if you need to make an announcement for that. So Comedy Central was very cool about letting us put that out. But that was something that, I guess we've been.
Yeah, it was just perfect time.
It just worked out, and they let us put it out. So,
we knew that they were homophobic and racist before they even knew it.
Yeah, exactly. So we just capitalized on the larger story of it, and Comedy Central was very cool about allowing us to put out material as it becomes relevant. If something else comes out that feels specific to something that we've made, hopefully they'll let us put it out.
Has there been any moment where you kind of walked that fine line and you had to talk to Comedy Central about whether you could cross it or not? Or have they been pretty...
I think, did we have any...
I would say no.
We had a couple sketches we didn't end up doing that we got some notes on.
Yeah, but very few. I mean, I think I'd like to think we're decent self-editors. We're never our show will not be edgy for the sake of edgy. There's some dark shit. And
but it's character based, and it's less about the moment. It's less about the political moment. Or the atmosphere of the.
Exactly. It's if something dark or crazy happens, it's because the realities of those characters are such that they require it. But Comedy Central is incredibly cool. I mean, we had very few beeps and.
Yeah, I think partly because between us and the director, Jonathan Kreisel, we talk so much with each other and we're so hard on ourselves that like every notes call would end with us just talking and they would end up hanging up at some point. Okay, you guys are more concerned about it.
Yeah, they were very. If this show does not work, it is our fault. We cannot blame it on Comedy Central that they didn't let us do X, Y, or Z. It is the show that we wanted to make.
How in the world did you get away with the credit sequence without having to pay royalties
That's
bound?
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Legal, have you guys seen the show, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Legal looked at every font and had to clear it font by font.
So if you noticed anything that is a specific, I think anything that was in the media, no, I don't know what. Certain brands we had to speed through if they were under a split second.
Yeah.
But everything legal went through every one of them.
With the 8 episodes, are there reoccurring characters? Because publicity was hysterical.
Thank you.
So
publicity starts in the first episode, and that leads to an avalanche of spin-offs.
Because it was scary how you guys nailed. I'm not a fan of reality shows, but you guys just nailed it.
Well, so publicity becomes Dr. Armand, who is the animal plastic surgeon, has his own spin-off in the second episode. And then he gets divorced and becomes a single man, and Armand about town. And then Roman, Armand's son, played by Andy Milonakis, gets his own spin-off. Then another character I play gets a spin-off of that. But then beyond that, like Rich Dicks, which I do with John Daley, recurs throughout the season 3 or 4 times. Bobby Bottle Service and Peter Paparazzo occur a few times.
Well, and along with publicity beginning an avalanche of other sketches, we do return to publicity a couple times as well.
Yes. And it, certain things become, so publicity and all of its spin-offs become the blanket for all of our reality show tropes. And then Oh Hello that I do with John Mulaney comes back in a few different forms. So characters come through. Ref Jeff, who's the San Diego, and the ref who wants to lock down plans. He comes back. He comes back in a couple other genres, but it's still Ref Jeff. So
San Diego Diet was awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And so there are references throughout. So you'll notice things of San Diego Diet is in episode 1, but then you'll see pieces of it and characters. One of the women who has the testimonial in San Diego Diet plays a major role in all of the reality show spin-offs, which you'll have to wait and see. But
do they have to wait and see? A small spoiler.
Yeah. She marries Dr. Armand. So
the most beautiful woman.
The most beautiful.
She's the most beautiful
woman in the world. And I think our idea is that these worlds are their own specific worlds, and when appropriate, they start to interact. But it's not a like ooh and now we're it's like Consuela, the maid in Rich Dicks, is also El Chupacabra's sidekick in his radio show. Because the woman who plays that character, Tonita, who's now on Go On NBC, we were told when we were making the pilot for Rich Dicks, she is an actual radio host, and we were like, well, you have to be with El Chupacabra then. So wherever we can find those happy coincidences, we look for them, but we don't focus on them.
We just got a picture of you guys.